Hi, I'm Paris Ferguson, and I made a music video to the song Monster by Dev. Essentially, what I wanted to create was a relationship story set to music, and I wanted to play off the more unstable relationships that were shown in media. Bonnie and Clyde, End of the Fucking World, and Harley and Joker were my influences. From Harley and Joker I took the abuse, from Bonnie and Clyde I took the kind of instability where you can both love each other and reject society. And I took similar things from End of the Fucking World, except with that had more cinematic flair, seeing as Bonnie and Clyde are real people and what's his face and whatever aren't. So that was that. I made it for the Raindance Film Festival because it had the least limitations, because if I made it for a client they might ask me to do A, B, C and D, whereas for the Raindance it was just, it's got to be under 6 minutes and you got to finish it by 1st of June. Alright, done, sorted, easy. I didn't want to be limited with my creative vision. I will now show you my creative vision.
Call the doctor, must be something wrong with me. Oh, he's a monster, why do I want you? Oh, please tell me, he's a monster, boy, he's a motherfucking monster. But I love him, yeah, I love him. He's red, don't start, no, they're his own form of art, and he's doing his part, 'cause he's winning my heart, there were no sparks, no, just a gasoline fire burning through the dark, and he's doing his part, 'cause he's winning my heart. Is he human? Doesn't matter. I know he's what I'm after. Him from disaster. I know. Call the doctor, must be something wrong with me. Oh, he's a monster, why do I want you? Oh, please tell me, he's a monster, boy, he's a motherfucking monster. But I love him, yeah, I love him. Most people are scared when they look into the eyes, all they see is fear. But let me make this clear, I want him near. Most people can't sleep, he's out on the streets, but he is my creep. He is my creep. Doesn't matter. I know he's what I'm after. Him from disaster. I know. Call the doctor, must be something wrong with me. Oh, he's a monster, why do I want you? Oh, please tell me, he's a monster, boy, he's a motherfucking monster. But I love him, yeah, I love him. He's sick, he's fresh, he doesn't really know how to dress. He's a beast, he's weird, he never looks in the mirror. Yeah, call the doctor, call the doctor, must be something wrong with me. Oh, he's a monster, why do I want you? Oh, please tell me, he's a monster, boy, he's a motherfucking monster. But I love him, yeah, I love him. Call the doctor, must be something wrong with me. Oh, he's a monster, why do I want you? Oh, please
That's my project.
No blumpers.
Although there are many blumpers. There are so many.
got into a course
So-
lessons.
That was my project. I hope you all enjoyed. So I want to first start talking about my target audience because I met a lot of disagreement with what I wanted to do. So my target audience was 15 to 25-year-olds. It was young people and young couples. However, when I launched a survey, most people thought that it should have been 18 to 25-year-olds or 18 to 20-year-olds because of the more mature content. What I thought was I wanted to create a piece which was more, it showed a more aggressive relationship, something that was more passionate, more young. It didn't have the experience of knowing when something is truly abusive or not. And I wanted to show more of a mutual abuse where both individuals in a relationship were harmful for the other, but that didn't affect the way they felt about each other. I felt like too often media shows a perfect relationship where the only issue is an external one. He's married, her boyfriend's a dick, the father doesn't approve, these kinds of factors. Whereas I wanted to create something where the problems were internal, where you couldn't look externally and fix them, but it still functioned. And I thought that the more mature content was an important part of this because it was the passion and the anger of the relationship. Apparently a lot of people disagreed, but I just wanted to challenge people and make you think. My character influences were Harley Quinn for the girl, and you can sort of hit the lights because you can't really see him. But essentially a character called Nemesis from a different film for the boy. Now essentially why I wanted to do this was Harley Quinn is unstable, psychotic, violent, and is constantly abused by her partner, but stays with him because she loves him, which is almost the same thing I wanted for my female character. What I wanted for the guy was a strong silent type, somebody who didn't emote, who wasn't open with their feelings, who was an aggressive and unstable individual, and also not the type of person you could imagine being the main character of a film. He was the henchman, he was the villain's backup. And Nemesis portrays this because in the film that he features in, Resident Evil, he's just silent, strong, fights, he's aggressive. And then he shows this little bit of emotion towards the end, but it's never shown on his face, it's through his actions, which is what I wanted to show, because I believe too often with acting, we rely on the surface level of facial expressions, rather than looking at what characters actually do. You know, do they look and sound nice? Oh, they're probably nice, even if all their actions are evil and manipulative. I wanted to show the opposite of that. Because I haven't done the lights off again. I should have done less dark images, but oh well. My video influences were Lil Peep's videos because he has this technique which is he starts a shot blurry and then pulls it into focus as the camera moves. It's almost as if the person recording is drunk, which is how I wanted to do my opening scene set in the swimming pool when I'm doing pulling the camera onto them and it's first blurry and then eventually comes into focus. I didn't have a more artistic reason for this, I just liked how it looked. I also wanted to use slow motion because I thought it would work well for the party scene where everyone's jumping around, and would also mask how few people were actually there if you were more focused on the jumping in slow motion. If I were to reshoot this, I would have added more violence because of the feedback that you, my audience, gave me was that there wasn't enough violence between the couple, which I found interesting because when I initially pitched my idea, people said that they didn't really like the idea of an abusive relationship. They didn't really want to see that. But then once I showed it, almost everyone said that they wanted to see more violence, which left me really confused and either they didn't know what they wanted or they changed their mind between surveys. I just thought it was an interesting thing that happened. I got my idea from listening to the song and its lyrics about a girl who loves a monster and how she thinks there's something wrong with her. And I tried to show this internal conflict with the female character, where she believed that loving him was wrong and that she shouldn't, but she did anyway. Unfortunately, I don't think I managed to pull this off correctly for various reasons, whether it was the actors or simply the shots I used. I think it was a multitude of factors. And my genre was alternative pop, if you can guess. Alternative because of the more psychotic themes, and pop because it didn't really fit into any other genre sound-wise. I wanted to use this because it gives you more freedom. A regular pop song tends to be quite generic, quite girl loves boy, or we're breaking up and I'm over you. It's very easy. I wanted to do something more challenging. Thanks for watching.
Harris, you know there's a scene.
Questions?
Yeah, there's a scene like when you have like the three people. So obviously Finn is one of them, and then I don't know who the two other people are.
Yeah.
Like talking to the camera. Do you think like what's the relevance of like them? Because obviously we don't see them at all. Like, would it have been better maybe to have the actual like Oscar, the girl, and then Finn because they're all in it as actors?
Well, when I did the initial singing where the girl was singing to the camera with Oscar to the side, I was told that it went on for too long. However, I didn't have other footage to put over it. So to prevent using more of her, I added these other people. However, you're right, and if I was to go back, I probably would cut that and change it for something else, probably more scenes of the two bonding together.
Did you like plan to film in the rain, or was it just?
I didn't plan to film in the rain. It was actually a massive technical problem, and all the three people that were there, including one other person who didn't show up on camera, were holding a coat over the camera, and I was underneath it.
It works better when.
And
it looked better when
it looks good in the rain.
every time somebody ran up to act, I had to take the person who had been acting and put them under the coat to make sure it didn't fall and ruin the camera. So there were challenges, but we overcame them. Anyone else?
I don't know, I think all the questions I would ask have been asked. Lovely.